Good morning, dear participants. A warm welcome to Energy Management Center, Trivandrum. Myself, Anish Rajendran, Energy Technologist from Energy Management Center. We will start the session in a few minutes. We have some more participants to join. Today's session is on moving towards e-mobility in light motor vehicles, that is cars and light motor, other light motor vehicles. I'll proceed with the welcome address. So, good morning, dear participants. On behalf of Energy Management Center, Kerala, on behalf of Energy Management Institute of EMC. EMC, as many of you know, it is coming under the Department of Power, Government of Kerala. It's a state designated agency for Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Government of India. Government of India has engaged in promotion of energy efficiency and having the mandate to enforce the provisions of Energy Conservation Act 2001 in Kerala state. EMC was established in 1996 as an autonomous body. You may agree that new technological trends in the energy efficiency and the sustainable development are being introduced in the transport sector, through which drastic reduction in their energy consumption profiles are attained, resulting in achievement of remarkable energy savings and a greener environment. So transport sector, as you know, is the largest energy consumer for any nation. So mobility is one of the key requirements of our daily life. As far as India is concerned, we import about 85% of our crude oil requirement from other countries. The pollution from these vehicles on burning of fossil fuel is one of the main cause of global warming and increase in fuel prices day by day. The Government of India has set up an ambitious target for switching to 100% electric vehicles by 2030. This courageous act has made Indian transportation industry compete with the other developed countries. The National E-Mobility Program aims to provide an impetus to the entire e-mobility ecosystem that includes electric vehicle manufacturers, charging infrastructure development companies, fleet operators, service providers, etc. Electric vehicle technology have rendered a vast development in the automobile sector, as it is environment friendly and energy efficient. The penetration of electric vehicle technologies to light motor passenger vehicles and goods vehicle sector have got a tremendous impact in the automobile industry from the past few years, and same motives to provide an economic mode of transportation at reduced life cycle cost. So today's speaker is Mr. Sharath Babu. He has 9 years of experience in the automobile industry. He started his career as a faculty on project opened by Kelstone in 2010, and later he moved to Mercedes-Benz Kerala dealer Rajshri Motors as a sales consultant, and he worked there for 4 years in 2014 till 2018. Then he joined TVS Mahindra as assistant manager on premium cars for a span of 6 months. Currently, he is with Popular Hyundai as a junior sales manager, and he is looking after a wide range of electric cars and further expansion in the EV sector. So this digital platform, I warmly welcome Sharath to our session. And this digital platform for hosting the webinar is provided by the Indian Institute of Information Technology and Management, Kerala. Considering the COVID-19 scenario, EMC is organizing a series of webinars of various topics. The first of its kind was started on 5th June. A webinar calendar was prepared by EMC titled Energy Efficiency in All Walks of Life, from Lamps to Boilers. The same is published in our website www.keralaenergy.gov.in. If you have any doubts during the webinar, you need not wait till the end and make use of the public chat box in the platform. Some of your doubts may not be cleared at that time itself, but EMC people will compile the questions and get the answers from the speaker and prepare a FAQ booklet and mail you. The booklet will be shared to all the participants by email. I wish you all a very fruitful and interesting section, and thank you. So it is my duty now. It is my duty to welcome Sri Sharath Babu from Popular Hyundai. So Sharath, are you online? Sharath, hello. Can you hear me? Yeah, Sharath, yeah, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, sir, I can. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Sharath, I just hold on. I will share the PPT.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Hello. A very good morning to everyone. My name is Sharath. I'm representing the Power Hyundai. I'm been with the Hyundai's electric car for the past 1 year. Um, so let me so the Anisha give me the basic introduction of myself. So let me fast get into the topic. So I can say the electric mobility is one of the future technology. So uh, at this point of time, we have mainly concentrate on the gasoline fuels like the petrols and diesel. And now also we are getting some lesser polluted petroleum like the CNGs and also. Now the future of mobility is getting in pace to the electric vehicles also. So even the you can see a very much revolution on the electric vehicles in the global market as well as the Indian market. A lot of product, good quality products and variety of products are getting lined up in the vehicle market. So almost everyone has an aspiration or has eagerness towards the electric mobility. So let me see how it is getting happened and what is happening in the light motor vehicles market towards the electrification. Okay. So we are having this conventional. You can just see the slides and you can see. So we have a very conventional fuel systems which mainly consumes the petrol or diesel engine. So the after effect of that. So the emission is very huge. You can see the emission is very huge, and the engine oil and the consumables which is used by this vehicle is very hazardous to the environment and all. So next there comes the hybrid technology. So which the vehicle can run on both fuel and the battery. So here you can see the major contribution of the driving is through the fuel only. The hybrids, you can see there are some products in the market like the Camry or the Lexus hybrid. All are the hybrids, but they use the battery technology only for less than 40 kilometer per hour speed. Above the higher speed, they already will switch into the fossil fuels. So that will also have some sort of emissions also. So then the technology evolves to the plug-in hybrid. In the plug-in hybrid, mostly all the drive, mainly the power drive, which uses the electric technology, but it will have a small engine, so which can charge the battery while driving. So even that also will have a small amount of pollution factor also. The next is the complete pure all electric vehicles. So in that you can see there is no absolute zero emission and because it does not have any exhaust pipe to produce the there is no tailpipe for the electric vehicle because that is not at all required. There is no combustion happening. Nothing is happening with the electric vehicle, so that is not at all required. So that's why the world is completely looking into the electric revolution because it is there is no pollution at all. So even for we can see that there is a lot of climate changes are happening, and even the United Nations and all of them are talking about our climatic change conditions. So all the global markets are preferring to the electric vehicles because it does not have any pollution and it is very much good for the environment also. So that's why all the market is looking forward to the electric. So when all the manufacturers are coming with the new product lineups and all. So so let's see what is happening in the light motor vehicle section. So where the electrification is required in the LMV sector, we can see there is a if you just see the roads, we can see the number of light motor vehicles is very high than the public transport vehicles and all. Even at this COVID situations also, everyone used to prefer the our own vehicle, our own light motor vehicle. So the market of the light motor vehicle is increasing exponentially. So that will directly affect the pollution ratios and all. So uh, the electrification is very much required to the light motor vehicle. And we can see what are the benefits to an individual customers as well as the fleet owner. So if a new technology arrives, so it should have any benefit to us also. So even it is 100% beneficial to the environment also. So if we need to adopt that, we should have some more benefits from that also. So these are the convenience to a electric used customers. So the first thing is the convenience of an automatic transmission. So we can see even the normal IC vehicles, there is an engine and gearbox is there. But in the electric vehicle, it is completely missing. So there is no engine required, there is no gearbox required, there is no turbocharger required. So the components and everything is very much less in the electric vehicle. So the convenience of an automatic transmission. All the electric cars will be an automatic vehicle, and even it is an automatic. The other automatic cars they have a mechanical gearing system also. So here it is not at all required. So it is very much fun to try. You won't feel any gear shifting lags. So even you won't even feel the vehicle is started or not. So that is the convenience of the electric vehicles. And next comes the instant torque. So even if you just go to the browser of an conventional IC engine, you can see even the petrol and the diesels. You can see the torque figure in bracket. You can see an RPM range. So the RPM, the on the max on the average RPM, you will get the full torques only. But in the in the motor, so you will get the flat torque. So even the other vehicle, if you accelerate, the engine need to raise the RPM to around 1,500 to 2,000 RPM to get the full torque. But in the electric vehicle, if you just accelerate, you will get the full torque on the wheels at the moment itself. So it is very much fun to drive, and for the overtaking and all, we very much required that instant torque. So that is very much helpful in this electric vehicle, and the high efficiency, even the efficiency factor. So the vehicle, even the some manufacturers, even the hello, yeah. So the hello, yeah. So the
Yes,
high
yes, sir.
efficiency, because even previously the earlier, yes, okay. The earlier electric vehicles, the manufacturers doesn't have that much range to satisfy a customer. Yeah, for example, even the first of the electric vehicle which came in the Indian market was the Riva, and later the Mahindra E2 and the Mahindra Verito, Tata Tigor. That was the first stage of vehicles that which gives you a range of around 100 kilometers per charge. So, as an individual customer, that is not at all required for his commuting. So, it just can be used to a smaller distance trips and typically to an city range of travels. But nowadays, all the vehicles which comes with an higher efficiency, because even the ARAI certification, so that the newer products like Hyundai Kona, the Tata Nexon, and the MG ZS EV, you can see all this comes with a very higher range. The Kona is offering around 452 kilometers on a single charge. So you can almost cover around 75% of Kerala roads in a 452 kilometer. and the Nexon is coming with a 304-kilometer range, and the MG is coming with 340. So it's around in and around 300 is the newer vehicles efficiency. So it is very much appreciable. So you can even travel the intercity travels also in an electric car. The next convenience is the ultra low NVH, noise harness. So even the electric vehicle does not has an engine and all, so it does not make you feel the vehicle is started, because even the normal petrol or diesel engine, while you switch on the vehicle, you will feel an vibration, and you will feel the vibration of the vehicle is getting started, the combustion is happening, so something is happening in that. But in the electric vehicles, even you won't feel the vehicle is on starting, only we can see the a symbol inside the vehicle, and you will feel that the vehicle is started. So the very low noise voice harnessing is there, and zero emission. As we said, there is no exhaust pipe for the electric vehicle, so absolute zero emission is there. So not at all required, and convenient of charging at home and office. So in mostly all the electric manufacturers are giving the charging infrastructure along with the vehicle. So even the in the like example, if you take the Hyundai Kona electric, so it is around the Hyundai is providing two charger units along with the vehicle. One is the 16 amps normal power plug charger. So you can charge this vehicle in any of the 16 ampere power plug point. So that will be available in most of the homes. Like we are charging like we are using it for the refrigerator or washing machine and all. So the 16 amps charger, you can charge the vehicle. And the 7.2 kilowatt AC wall box charger, fast charger is also giving along with the vehicle as complimentary. So that also can be installed at your home or office. So that's related to the charging. You can charge this thing in any of the 16 ampere power plug. That most that will be available in almost all the houses, all the offices, and also it is very convenient to charge. And the very attracting factor for an individual customer is the running cost. So consider an fuel vehicle, so which gives you an around 15 kilometers of range. So so for the 15-kilometer range, you need to give a petrol of around 80 rupees. So in 80 rupees, if you get a 15-kilometer mileage vehicle, your running cost is 5 rupees per kilometer. Forty units of charge for that. So for a 40 unit charge, so for a 40 unit of current charge, you need to consume around 40 units. So the maximum cost for that is around 8 rupees. So in 320 rupees, you can travel up to 450.
Sharath, your voice is breaking sometimes. Can you repeat that? Sharath, your
Running cost is actually. It's just only the 1/5 of an petrol versus diesel engine. So it's very low cost. And the additional benefit, the tax benefit for the EV adopters.
Sharath, sorry to interrupt. Your voice is breaking sometimes.
For the all other EVs, the central government has reduced the 28% to 5% only. So you can see the difference. So not even the half, it is very less compared.
Sharath, sorry to interrupt you. Your voice is breaking.
Tax benefit.
Sharath, are you there?
Next is the income tax benefit. So you can avail up to 1.5 lakh as tax. 80 EEB just announced around the central budget around few months back. So you can avail if of March 2023. And if consider the case of Kerala, the Kerala road tax was very much reduced to 5 only 5% of the raw tax. So previously it was around 21% for the electric cars, but now it is reduced to 5% only. So even previously the raw tax for the Kona was around 4.5 lakh. Now it is reduced to 1.2 lakh only. So it's a very much good initiative from the Kerala government side. And even the Kerala flood cess, it was introduced after 2018. So almost all the products you need to give the Kerala flood cess of 1%. It is completely exempted for the EV workers. So these are the tax benefit which an EV customers can get avail if you are switching to an electric vehicle. So in order to make the EV vehicle more convenient to customers, these all things and these initiatives has taken by the central as well as Kerala government. So this is a basic comparison of an IC engine versus an EV. So even the IC engine, we know we have an engine and transmission. So if you just consider the EV, there is no engine and transmission, only the motor is there, and there is a gearbox available for that, but it is not as complicated as the mechanical gearbox like the petrol or diesel engine. So instead of an engine here, EV uses a motor only, and we can have the fuel tank. Instead of fuel tank, here we have the battery pack, and there is an exhaust for that. Here there is no exhaust. Instead of an exhaust, you have a charging port, as like your mobile phones and all. There will be a charging port for that. So these are the components. So if there is 1,000 components for the IC engine, there may be 100 for the electric car. So the components will be the ratio of components used is very much less in an electric car compared to an IC engine. So the reliability factor. So even we know the mechanical things. If something happens, it can break down easily because there is uses a combination of too much of components. But in the EV case, there is not much complicated components in this, and very few components. So we can easily troubleshoot the issues. If some issues happen, and it can be much more reliable than the mechanical things. So this is the powertrain of an EV vehicle. So in this we can see the main component, high voltage battery. I'm taking it from the right. So the high voltage battery is placed on the floor because it is around a 350 kg. For example, in the case of Kona, the battery pack is 39.2 kilowatt hour. So the 39.2 kilowatt hour batteries will weight around 350 kg. So the 350 kg battery weight is placed on the floor. There is no other space which we can place this battery as convenient. So we are placing this on the floor. So the advantage of that is that the stability. So even the other vehicles, you can feel the engine weight will be much more higher. When on the back side, the weight will be much more less. So in the case of an EV, the center of gravity will be very much maintained because the battery, the 350 kg battery is placed on the floor. So the grip to the floor will be much more higher for an EV. And even there is a misconception among the market that the EVs are not too high, not too weight. It is very lightweight, but actually it is not right because even if just compare them petrol or diesel Creta versus the Kona. The Creta will weight around 1,350 kg, but the Kona weighs around 1,585. So we can see these around 250 kg higher than a petrol or diesel vehicle. So that is where the battery is placed. The battery which we are using is the lithium-ion battery, and the base which is used as polymer. So previously, even just the example of the first generation electric cars, which they use the lead-acid battery. So we have a comparison of the lead-acid versus the lithium-ion advantage. Now, the mostly new age batteries or new age manufacturers all prefer the lithium ion because of its long range and because of its easy to handle. So that's why we are switching to the lithium-ion batteries nowadays. And next is the onboard charger, which is a component in the electric vehicle. So the onboard charger is the thing is that actually in the homes and offices we know we have the AC connection only. So there is a battery. The battery works on the DC. So the AC need to be converted to the DC. So it is done by the onboard charger. So if you open the bonnet of an electric car, you can see there is a box which is a circuit that is the onboard charger. So when we plug in the AC current to the from the home or office to the vehicle, so on the onboard charger, it is actually converting the AC to the DC and given to the battery, and it is getting charged. So that is the onboard charger and the single speed reduction gear. So as I said earlier, there is no mechanical gearbox available for this vehicle. So even the other vehicle you can see there is a manual gearbox of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 5 or 6, even 6 is the gearbox ratio. But here you can see there is a single speed reduction gear actually. Why? Because actually if you given the power to the motor, it will run at its maximum. So that maximum cannot be handled by a wheel at the moment. So it need to be reduced. The torque need to be reduced and given to the motor according to the customer's need, according to the vehicle required. So according to the acceleration. So that's where the single speed reduction gear is used. So actually this is for the reduction of the torque and control the torque to the wheels. And next is the motor. There is a battery and there is a motor. So the motor which we are using here is the PMSM actually, the permanent magnet synchronous motor. So this motor is actually much capable than a BLDC motor. So most of the manufacturers are using this permanent magnet synchronous motor as for the power drain of the electric vehicle. So in the case of an example of a Kona, it is getting output of around 135 HP. You can consider, you can just imagine actually the electric vehicles, the previous electric vehicles are not that fun to drive, not that powerful vehicle, but nowadays all the electric vehicles are very much fun to drive than the other petrol diesel engines actually, much more powerful than the petrol diesel engines. So the 135 is the power output and the torque factor. It's very much amazing actually. It's 395 Nm torque at 0 RPM. Means at 0 point of time you will get the 395 Nm torque at your wheels. So that can be provided by this motor, the permanent magnet synchronous motor, and the control unit. So there is a control unit inside. So this control unit has the operation of controlling the power to the battery and the charger. So it is all controlled by the EPCU. So all the vehicle has an this control unit. Even the petrol diesel has this control unit here. It is the EPCU is the role for controlling that. Even if you just plug the charger, it will have a communication in between. So to check the battery voltage and to check the out temperature. So then only it will start accepting the charge. So all these things are done by the EPCU. So actually the inside the EPCU there is an inverter. So you can see the PMSM which works on AC actually. So even the battery is DC, but our motor PMSM is working on an AC. So from the DC, it need to be converted to AC and given to the motor. So that role is run by the EPCU. It has an inverter unit inside and the vehicle control unit. So it controls the everything action. So this is the powertrain of an electric vehicle. So you can see this is very much very less complicated than a petrol diesel engine. So this is the advantages of lithium-ion batteries than the previous technologies. So even the lead acid battery, we need to check the water levels every time. It need to be maintained at a point of time. But the lithium-ion battery, this not at all required. So there is no maintenance required at all. And the charging life. So it is even compared to the lead acid batteries or the other battery technologies, it has more life. It has more charging life than the conventional other batteries. So it will last long. Even for example, if you consider the Kona, the charging cycle of Kona is more than 2000 plus. So you can imagine for 2000 plus, if you are getting around 400, you can travel up to 8 lakh kilometers. So that is the theoretical life which Hyundai is claiming for. So it will get the more charging cycles with the lithium ion battery. So the low self discharge rate, we can see even the lead acid, even the battery, it will deteriorate very fast than the lithium ion technology. So even the previous vehicles, they are giving the warranty of only 2 years because they are not confident more than that. But all the newer manufacturers, all the newer vehicles is giving up a standard warranty of 8 years. So it's not like the olden times. You can directly acquire. You can have much more confidence on an EV product because most of the manufacturers are giving off around 8 years warranty. 8 years as standard warranty. So it has more life cycle and self-discharge rate and more charging cycle. It is much lightweight and compact than the other vehicles, other technologies. So that's why it need to be placed on a vehicle. So it need to be scheduled like that. It must be lightweight and much compact to handle in this vehicle. So it is like that. So the lithium ion can be used like that. So it is actually like a bed. Uh, we are having a bed, so it slide on the floor. Not the weight is concentrated on a center point. On the other batteries, it is like that, but it is here. It is like a bed, which the batteries which we are using in the mobile phones and also is lightweight and compact and easy to handle. So the high power density is than the normal lithium ion, normal conventional lead acid batteries. So, and there is no memory effect also because it is using the lithium ion polymer based battery. So even the phones which we are using the lithium ion, which have some memory effect. So if you continue to use this to charging around 20%, so it will automatically form a memory inside the battery that it will not degrade below 20. So that is not happened with the newer battery because it is coming with a lithium ion polymer battery. So it won't have that memory effect. You can discharge up to 0 or you can use up to 100. That is not much affecting the battery life. So these are the advantages of the lithium ion battery than the older technologies. So this is the advantages of the permanent magnet than the BLDC motors. Previously it was using the BLDC motors. Now it is completely switched to the PMSM, permanent magnet synchronous motor. So this PMSM is working on an AC current, not the DC. So the DC from the battery is taken and it is converted to DC from the battery is taken and is converted to AC and given to the motor, the PMSM motor. And it has a very less noise of operation because uh, even the motor is very much very less sound generating as it is using an AC current. So even if compared to the BLDC, it is very less noise of operation and a higher performance. So it's higher performance than the BLDC motors, high efficiency and higher torque. Even the higher torque application which we are using the PM as a motor. So even in the case of electric automobiles, the torque is very much required. So even for an overtaking and all that, the instant torque is very much required for an automobile section. So that's why we are using the PMSM over the BLDC motors. So actually, this is a comparison of energy consumption comparison actually. So and see how is the earth is getting impacted on the climate is or to the environment, how it is impacting the environment. So we are considering an automatic vehicle. So if you feel the corner, you can get to feel that actually it is very much like a premium product. So it's very easy, very convenient. So like that, we are getting a comparison of Hyundai Creta equivalent to the Kona. So you can see there's a comparison of Creta petrol, Creta diesel, and a Hyundai Kona. We are taking a comparison of both of these three for an 5 year span of time. So the mileage we are getting on a Creta petrol is an average is around 13 kilometer per liter, and for the diesel we are getting around 15. And for the efficiency, we are considered as 11.5. It is the kilometer per kilowatt. So how we are calculated the 11.5 is the ARIA certification of Kona is for 52 kilometers, and the battery kilowatt capacity is around 39.2 kilowatt. So the 452 divided by the 39.2, you will get around 11.5 kilometer per kilowatt. So we can travel around 452 kilometers on a single charge. So that's why it is given like that. And annual distance covered. So consider a customer who is driving around 1,250 kilometers a month, 1,250 a month, and as a comparison of a total of 15,000 kilometer an year. So both these all three customers are driving this vehicle for 15,000 kilometers for a year, and the fuel cost. So at this point of time, the fuel cost of petrol is around 81. So we can see that it is drastically increasing, mostly increasing day by day. And so now the petrol cost is reached around 81 rupees, and the diesel cost reached around 79. But compare the unit charge. So we are considered 3.75. The 3.75 is the starting. We are charging it in the office and home. So mostly that comes in the domestic cost. So that the slab starting from 3.75 to maximum of, if you consume 1,000 plus units, so the maximum slab will be 7.9. So that will be less. So we are considering it's on starting stage. The consumption is around 3.75 is the unit cost. So the Kona need take around 3.75 into 39.2. So that will be the overall consumption for a full charge. So consider it an annual fuel cost. If you drive 15,000 kilometers on a Hyundai Creta petrol car, the fuel expense will be around 93,461 rupees. So can you imagine, it will be around 1 lakh rupees if you draw your Creta. Even previous times we don't used to consider this amount because we need to fill this. It is very much required. If you purchase a car, you need to fuel that. But in this point of time, we need to consider the other option also. So that's why the electric keys came into existence. So if you're driving a Creta petrol for 15,000 kilometer a year, it will cost around 93,000 rupees for the fuel cost. And so if it is a diesel, it will cost around 79. So because of 3 rupees per liter is the difference. So and the mileage is a little bit higher on the diesel side. So that's why we can see it's around 79,000 rupees. But we can see for 15,000 kilometers of a Kona, you just need 4,891 rupees only as the consumption cost, as the unit cost. So we can see the difference. It will be above 5 times higher is on the petrol or diesel side. Even on the petrol, it will be 1 lakh, and for the diesel, it will be around 79,000. And it is just as 5,000 rupees on the EV cars for a 15,000 or a 15,000 annual your fuel expense. And the maintenance cost is also, because EV already we say that there is no engine, there is no gearbox, so there is very less things to maintain inside an EV. So there is no engine oil changing required. So there is no turbo, there is no oil filter, there is no air filter. So the maintenance part of the EV is also very less, considerably very less than the petrol or diesel engines. So the annual maintenance cost is around 0.5 rupees for a EV car, and it is considered as 1 rupee as 10,000 for the petrol car and 15,000 for the diesel car, and just 5,000 for the EV. So total annual expense, the maintenance cost plus the running cost, it will be around 1,03,461 rupees for a petrol and 94,000 for a diesel, and just 9,800 for a electric car. So it is almost 10 times higher as we compare the EV with the petrol or diesel thing. So annual fuel consumption liter to kilowatt. If we to calculate the energy usage, so we are converting it to a common point of kilowatt hour. So if you consider the 1 lakh, it is converted, the liter which is used is converted to kilowatt hour. It will take around 1153 kilowatt hour for a petrol car to run around 15,000 kilometers. And for the diesel, it will consume around 1000 kilowatt hour. And for a plug-in, it is 1304. So energy, if we convert the energy, if we convert it into an energy, it will take around for petrol and 11,976, because the energy, the diesel side, so it is very higher. 11,976, and the EV is only 1,304. So the carbon footprint.
Sharath, your voice is breaking. Hello? Sharath, are you there?
Sure. Okay.
Sharath, can you repeat it? Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, Sharath, please
Yes.
repeat. Yeah.
So the annual carbon footprint, it is converted into as a CO2. It's converted into a ton. So you can see 33.33 tons of carbon dioxide need to be emitted from a petrol car. So it is not much less. It is very higher side. And for the diesel car, it will take around 32 tons. And you can see the difference. It is just 1 ton is required for a electric car. So that's the thing. Actually, this carbon dioxide is directly emitted by directly inhaled by the. So if you consider, if the rod is completely converted to electric, how much of carbon dioxide emission can be stopped? So it's beneficial for an individual, for like us, to have a very healthy life. So it is less, and the fuel cost for 5 years. So we are considering this as for a period of 5 years. So if a 1 year cost is around 93,000 for a petrol, so for 5 years it will consume around 4,67,000. So even the half of the cost of the vehicle, even 25 to 30% of the cost of vehicle need to be more invested in using that vehicle. So previously it was not considered. So 4,67,000 is additional required for a petrol vehicle to run to for a 5 years, and 3,95,000 is required for a diesel to run around 15,000 kilo for 5 years, and it is only 25,000 for 5 years of usage of Kona. So maintenance cost also 50,000, 75,000, and 25,000 is very less, and the cost of ownership. So you are purchasing a 20 lakh Hyundai Creta, and after usage of 5 years, you spend, your total sum spend will be around 25 lakh 17,307. So comparing the cost of Kona, it is just reaching around 1 lakh 32,000 difference only, and you are giving around 32 tons of carbon. You are saving around 32 tons of carbon dioxide emission. So that's the difference. So the cost of electric, the battery cost is little bit on this technology is little bit on higher side. So the cost of the EVs are little bit higher at this point of time. So if you consider a 20 lakh product, so you can even consider the 26 lakh on our that range electric car also, because after a period of 5 years time there is not much difference. So just see the difference in a diesel car. So the diesel car, even with the service and all, you need to spend around 26 lakh 70,000 as a sum for 5 years, and even the price of Kona is only 26 lakh. So 26 lakh and the consumption, everything, you will spend around 20,000 higher on a diesel car over a period of 5 years span. So not even balance, it is higher. If you use more than tenure of 5 years, it will be more. So you will get the benefit more. So that's the difference. So it will be benefit to a individual customer also, and it will be benefit for the climate change and for the environment also. So that I used to convey by using this chart. So we are using this vehicle for over a period, minimum of over a period of 5 years. We are having a calculation like this. So over a 5 years period of time, almost it will be, and financially it will be balanced, and for the environment, it is you're giving a very much benefit to the environment by using an EV. So these are just the frequently asked questions which is used to face by us. Um, what is the battery life? So there is a myth that the battery life is. We know that the battery cost is very higher. So if you purchase this vehicle and the maintenance happen, so it will be very much trouble for us. We need to invest much more on the battery. So that thing that was there at the previous age of the electric vehicle, but at this newer age technologies, you don't need to worry about that, because most of the manufacturers are giving warranty of around 8 years, 8 years or 1,60,000 kilometers. So that is not a smaller age. So even the 8 years battery, if you used to sell this vehicle after 5 years, that will be still under the warranty. So you don't need to have any headache related to the battery life and the battery charging life also. So I said it is around 2000 plus charging cycle available for the Hyundai Kona. So uh, so it is 2000 plus charging cycle. So if you consider around 400 kilometers on a single charge, so you can drive up to 8 lakh kilometers. So even no engine can run up to 8 lakh kilometers without overhauling. So you can imagine. So how an EV capable of. So you don't need to worry about the battery life. So it is most of the manufacturers, as even we can use this without changing the battery for of around 15 years. So that is the claiming as the life of a vehicle. So even in the life of a vehicle, you don't need to change the battery at all. So what will be the per kilometer cost for driving EVs with an IC car? So that's what I am already explained. So for a full charge of Kona, it will take around 4 hours. So for the price around 120 or 150 rupees is for a full charge of an EV. But at that time, if you for a 80 rupees petrol, you can travel around 15 kilometers. So 5 rupees will be per your per kilometer cost. So can you imagine? So it will be even very less to 1 rupee on an EV, and it is will be 5 or more with a petrol or diesel vehicle. So it's a difference of around 5 to 6 times difference. So and even if most of the even the Anert and everyone is supporting for the solar thing also. So we have some solar facility, so you don't have any running cost at all for an EV. So we can use the renewable energy on that side also for the EVs. So the battery performance. So is it okay for if we charge this battery on a higher condition, or if some areas which is having very low minus temperatures? So even when the battery technology is so much increased that even the manufacturers has more sensors, and also they will check the battery temperature. So for this vehicle can be used from, even consider an example case of a Hyundai Kona, it can use up to a temperature of minus 30 degrees Celsius to plus 60 degree temperatures region also. Thankful to the climate of Kerala, so there is not much extreme climatic conditions at Kerala or the Indian region, so it is not at all impacted for this vehicle. So it can be used to minus 30 degrees temperature region or to plus 60 degree temperature life. So do EVs have a poor battery life? So that is also already mentioned that there is not at all. You can drive up to 8 lakh of the life. Even that's the theoretical life it is claiming for a battery. So there is no issue on that. Is it safe and possible to charge the Kona during the rain or snow? So I already mentioned that thankful to the Kerala climate, but we are having another issue of the raining and floods also. So for an electric component which need to be placed outside, so it will have an IP standard, so ingress protection standard. It must required. So if you seen some underwater camera phones also, you can see the IP rating is mentioned in the product. So like this, for a Kona, almost all the manufacturers strictly have the IP rating for the batteries. because the battery is placed on the floor. So there is a chances of getting waterlogged situations to the battery level. So even all the manufacturers have done this very great because the IP standards of all the new manufacturers is very great. So for example of Hyundai Kona, it is IP 65 standard actually. 65 is the 6 stand for the dust, so it is completely dust proof, and 5 stands for the water. So in the 5 there is no jet streamlines water can be entered into the battery. So it is safe also, and even the battery and the motor is having the same IP standard, and the same IP standards is given to the charger ports also. So you can see the charger port is IP54 standard. So it is plugged on the front side of normal raining condition or snow condition does not have any. So it is very much safe to use this vehicle on the normal water law conditions of a normal petrol diesel engine vehicle. You can use this vehicle almost same as petrol diesel engine vehicles. Even some of the manufacturers, the Hyundai had tested this vehicle up to a 1 meter water wading test. So even the water reached our door level also, it is okay that if we go through that. So it is not recommended to stop at this level, but so if you feel if the water is reached our door level, it is completely flooded. So no one can drive this vehicle that through that. So even that also it is safe. So that is the safer side, the safety provision given for the batteries. And the other question is the EVs are, does the EVs are powerful like the normal petrol diesel cars? Definitely, actually. Even just if you have an experience of the newer electric products like newer electric manufactured products, it is very much fun to drive because even with the instant torque and even with the powered output and with the no gear shifting lag, it is very much fun to drive. Even all the we are telling about the light motor vehicle. So for an individual customer, not economic factor is there and for the environment factor is there, but we are not purchasing the product for that only. We are purchasing with our to satisfy our needs for the powerful drive and to reach the destination very early. So all these things can be done with the newer electric products also. So that is very much capable. So these are the things that I plan to explain to you. So if you have any doubts or any more, because I'm any doubts related to light motor vehicle products, electric products, you can comment on the chat box, and I will try my best to clarify that.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Sharath. It was an excellent presentation. And am I audible, Sharath? Hello, Sharath. Am I audible? Hello, Sharath. Sharath, am I audible? Hello. Hello. Sharath, can you hear me? Hello. Sorry, dear participants, there is some communication issue with the speaker. So please hold on. I will answer your questions. There are a couple of questions I can see in the chat box. So I will take this question. He will be back in just few seconds. So sorry for the interruption. So meanwhile, I kindly request all the delegates present here patiently till this end of the session to please submit your feedbacks, valuable feedbacks to the Google Form link we have shared in the chat box. I am sharing the link again. So those who have not submitted the feedback, kindly submit the feedback. I can see only 4 or 5 people have only submitted the feedback. So please do that. Yes, Sharath, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. So Sharath, there are a couple of questions we can see in the chat box. I'll read these questions one by one.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Please read the question, sir.
Yes. I'm reading it. So once again, I'm requesting all the participants to submit the feedback. So I'm reading the first question. So where is the battery system installed? Is it at the back side? So I think the question this is already discussed. So Sharath, you can add a few points.
Okay, so previously on the previous the lead acid batteries of the for example, if you're considering the products of Tata Tigor or the Mahindra L2O, if you open the boot and you can see the batteries placed under the boot. But now, so there is also there is an issue on that because the weight is concentrated on the boot side. So the stability of the vehicle is not as much as satisfied than the. So that is a negative thing for the EVs. But now on the newer technology, it is completely solved because the battery is placed on the floor. And for example, if you consider in the Kona case of a Kona, the battery is completely placed from the half of the driver's seat to the back wheel. So it is almost like a bed that we are using. It's a bed shaped battery. So from the driver's seat half, and it is laid down back till the back wheel. So it is completely laid on the floor. So the center of gravity will be very much maintained, and it is very efficient on the zigzags or the cornering. So it's very fun to drive because the weight is concentrated on the floor. So it is very hard to topple this vehicle because the 350 kg is lying completely on the floor. So there is no chances of toppling.
Yes. Thank you, Sharath. I will also add some points. This battery, actually, this latest technology is lithium ion, and so there is not only the battery, there are some more systems will be attached to it, like the cooling and the battery management system, including the charger, electronics. So it is a complete. I hope it is coming as a complete pack. I think in case of single Kona, it is coming in the floor, right? Okay, I will proceed with the next question.
Okay.
What is the ampere hour? What is the capacity of the battery? And life of the battery if running 100 kilometers per day. Sir, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Sir, hello.
Yes. Yes, sir. Please unmute your mic and speak. Yeah.
Yes, sir. It is unmuted. So, the capacity of battery is 39.2 kilowatt hour is the battery capacity. So if it is so P is equal to VA, if you calculate like that, the voltage will be around 320 volt DC for the Hyundai Kona. And if you consider the ampere factor, it will be around 120 ampere. So it is very powerful. So the very powerful battery it is that. So it's around 320 volt DC and 120 ampere is the power train of that battery, and it is 39.2 kilowatt hour. And it is not placed as a single battery. It is divided into 6 modules actually. So that will be convenient for the end customers also. So if something happens with say the cells in between the modules, so the modules individually can be changed. So it's a single battery but divided into 6 modules. It's 39.2 kilowatt capacity and 320 volt DC and around 120 ampere is the figures of the battery.
Okay, thank you, Sharat. I will proceed with the next question. So, what is the length of standard charging cable available, and what if more length is required, say 8 to 10 meters?
Okay, so by standard, the charging cable is coming with the vehicle will have around 4 to 5 meters of length. So it's actually meaning that the from front to back distance, so that is covered in the actually you can on the 16 amp spark plug you can have the extension box, but it is not recommended actually, because the earthing and everything should be very much maintained on that. So otherwise it will affect the battery life. So if you definitely sure that in case of emergency you need to have an extension cable for the 16 amp, it can be used, but you must ensure that the earthing and everything is very much perfect on that extension box. But it's actually by Hyundai actually it is not much recommended. But the office charger, you can install the charger at your own convenient space. It can be reached to the vehicle, or even that also has the IP protection. So even that that charger can be, if you want, you can place this on the outside also. So that is not an issue at all. So even the 4 to 5 is the standard meter available with the charger.
Okay, thank you, Sharat. In that case, on more clarification required. In case of apartments and flats, we have a number of apartments in Kerala. So, in case of, they will be provided with a, if for an example, a resident he is living in the upper floor, he is given a parking slot in the ground floor. So, where will he install the charger? So, how about the cabling cost, and or will the Hyundai he will take care, or the customer has to extend it?
Okay. In this case, so already we have delivered so much of vehicle to the apartments also. So there we are doing is that actually even on the apartment, their electrical room is on the ground floor. So mostly the meters and everything on the apartment is kept on the ground floor. So we need to take a wire from the electrical room to the charging point, your parking lot. So depend on that, the wiring cost will be little more higher if it is your parking lot and the electrical room is little bit more distant. Only the wiring cost will be little more higher, but you can do that charging there. So only the thing, we need to take a wire from your electrical room to the your parking lot. So that's the thing required.
Okay, that's what the customer has to bear the extension cost, or the company will?
Actually the wiring cost need to be bear by the the customer. The charger unit and its installation will be done by the charger unit and its installation will be done by the Hyundai or the manufacturer.
Okay, okay, thank you, Sharat. Just wanted to clarify. So there are a few more questions. What type of transmission system is used in Kona?
I didn't get you, sir.
Sharat, I will repeat the question. What transmission system is used in Kona?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Actually, I think I just covered in the slides also, because there is no mechanical gearing system available for an single speed reduction gear. I repeat, it's such a single speed reduction gear actually. So there is not required for a manual like 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no gear at all. So it is using a single speed reduction gear. Actually, it is about to reducing the torque. Because the 100% motor torque cannot be accepted by the wheels at a point of time. So that's why gear. So there is no mechanical gears in it. So it is very convenient to drive. There is no gear shifting lag at all. So very easy to drive and very convenient to drive.
Okay, thank you, sir. I will proceed with the next question. So what about the safety in case of any collision? So will the presence of large or fully charged batteries cause any serious problem?
Okay. In the lithium ion, the base which we are using is a polymer base. So the polymer which is used to avoid the contact of the positive and the negative thing. So the polymer which is used inside the battery. So there is a very less, it cannot be said as nil, but is very hardly chances of an issue which happen with the if something happens with the accident thing or all. So it's not an so all the precautions has to be done, because if we have a collision detection sensor all there, because it is having it's a actually 5-star safety rated vehicle, Australian 5-star safety rated vehicle. So it has an airbag, it's got the 6 airbags and all. So if anything happens, it will automatically switch off the battery supply. So it will be completely dead. It already has 2 or 3 main fuses. So if any collision, if it senses any collision, it will completely shut off the battery supply. So the battery, and even we can see even the high voltage battery is very little exposed to the motor. So the cable you can see is a high voltage battery. It's even less than a feet actually. So it is that's only the thing is exposed to the other side, but it's completely insulated, and also there is a very less chances of that types of accidents. So all the safety precautions has been taken by the manufacturer, and that's why it is getting around the 5 stars. Most of the manufacturers got the good safety standards for the electric car.
Okay, thank you, Sharath. So one question from Sri Vinayak Haridas. Is that right to express the mileage as fuel per kilometer for electrical vehicles? So I'm not sure, Vinayak, what you mean by this question. So if you are there, I can unmute you. Otherwise, if you are not there, means if your mic is not available, we can further clarify this question, because I am not sure you are because normally we express the mileage of an electric vehicle in range. It is we call the term as range. So it is kilometer per kilowatt hour. Sorry, the range is kilometer per kilowatt hour. If you want to get mileage, means it is kilometer per kilowatt hour. So in case of fossil fuel, petrol or diesel vehicles, we express it in mileage. It is kilometer per liters of fuel consumed. For someone who have any further clarification, here in the chat box. So we'll proceed with the next question. You told that due to water level, there is no problem with battery. Since it is at water level, kindly clarify whether it is regarding the water level is happening.
Sure. Hello. Hello.
There is some interference at your side, some unnecessary. So can you please? Yeah, now
Okay.
it is. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Sharath, shall I read the question once more?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay. I think, yeah. So, Sri Mohanan, sir, has asked, you told that due to water logging,
Okay.
there is no problem for battery. Since it is
Yeah.
at bottom level, kindly clarify whether is it safe. He is asking whether it is prone for water logging. Please.
So, sir, actually, in the waterlogging conditions, it is so even all the electric equipment which is placed on the outside, exposed to the outside, which can be placed outside, will have the IP rating. So you can see the IP rating for the for consider an example of an Tata Nexon or MG. Even it is 66. Even for the corner, it is around 65. IP 65 is the standard. So the even IP for the ingress protection is a worldwide standard. So in the 6, you can see it is a completely dust proof. So on the floor, so it does not affect any dust. And 5 stands for the water. So even I think the highest is the 9 rating, because it is for the submarine. So I think expect the submarines is around 69, but for the EV it is around 65. So you can imagine how much it is. So the 69, if it's go to up to a depth of the submarines can go up to a depth of around 30 meters length underground the water. So that is not required for an electric car. So that's why it is around IP65. So that is given for the standard for the battery and motor. So even the normal water logging condition of a vehicle is defined as the wheel hub level. So even that can be used, or even after that also it is safe to use this vehicle on the waterlogged condition, because you are driving through it, you are not stopping in to allow the water to enter it. So for the driving through the water, it is safer. Even on the 65, the water does not ingress to the jet stream. High pressure water also does not ingress to the battery. So so the IP65 you can use in this situation, not at all an issue.
Okay, thank you, Sharath. We have two more questions, so I will read the next question. So,
Okay.
Rajiv Saxena has asked, while driving on a steep road, is EV comparable with petrol in terms of torque? I think it is a question with respect to dynamics of the vehicle, which is climbing uphill.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure,
I
not
think,
at all an issue.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because actually, even all the petrol or diesels need a certain RPM level to get the full torque on wheels. So I think his doubt will be clarified when he had a test drive of an newer generation electric vehicles. So it is very much instant torque, and even the 0 to 100 figure is around 9.7 seconds for a corner. So in the 9.7 seconds, it will range from 0 to 100. So considering 100, from the 0 to 20, 40, 60 kilometer, it is very much faster than an petrol or diesel vehicle, because it is because of its instant torque. 395 is the torque factor, and 136 is the HP. So that's very much higher power than the petrol diesel cars. If you place any petrol diesel or any premium cars, so on the signal, if you start accelerate, all the mostly the EV will go first, then only the other vehicles. So because of its instant torque, so you will get that right.
Okay, I complementing to that, I will add some few points. We have nowadays, they are using most advanced motor, this permanent magnet synchronous motor. So,
Okay.
with the added advantages of the recent trends in the power electronics technology, it is a very promising technology. So, now please be clarified that any motor, including induction motor, synchronous motor, or BLDC motor, any type of motor, the torque and power requirement can be tuned very as per the requirement very dynamically. So in the modern electric vehicle, I don't think there is such much a problem in
Yes,
flying.
yes. Actually, for the
Yeah, sir, please.
so if the electric vehicles are very much powerful than the normal IC engine, so it can be experienced by himself. So it's very much powerful. It cannot be explained by words actually.
Okay, please. Yeah, very, yeah, that's what I agree to that. Then one more question. Yeah, it is something related to the policy measures. What are the policies of or programs by the government to increase the charging stations and promote more EV? So, Sharath, can you add a few points? I will also add some points. Sharath, hello? Hello, are you there? Hello?
Hello, hello,
I thought your voice is
hello.
yeah, can you hear me, Sharath? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can, sir. Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yeah, I will share. I will repeat the
Yes, sir,
question.
I can. Can you?
Shall I repeat the
Okay.
question? Yeah.
Yes, sir, please.
Okay. Sri Vani Vijay has asked regarding the policies. So, what are the policies or programs
Okay.
by the government to increase the charging stations and promote EV?
Okay. Yes, sir. So the charging, the nodal agency for the charging station installation is the KSCB, and along with the KSCB, the ANERT, the EESL, all of them are they are willing to do the charging station. So the best of my knowledge, within 2-3 months, minimum of 6 to 7 charging units across Kerala will be happen very soon. I personally know that one at the Trivandrum is already started tested, and it is very successful. And the Kollam will be within 2 months, I think the KSEB is going to have a grand function for the opening of these 6 charging stations across Kerala. One is there at Trivandrum, one is there at Kollam, one is there at Cochin, one is there at Thrissur, and one is there at Calicut, and one is there at Kannur, and the other location I just need to check. So all these six, yes, I think I have mentioned the six. All these charging stations will, within 2 to 3 months, six charging stations will come into existence. And the other, the ESL, the ANERT is also having these things. So it will be very fast that charging infrastructure develop in Kerala. I just had a discussion with the Mass Tech director who is having the role of the charging station installation in Kerala. He said already almost all the sites has done the charging installation, only the checking and the commissioning is balance. So the 6 charging station minimum across Kerala you can expect within 2 to 3 months. So there is a very elaborated policy for that. Even the government is behind that. All the mostly the electric vehicles, the government is started procuring the electric vehicles. So the Kerala government is very much aspirational towards the EV, and it will happen very. I think in other compared to other states, our EV policy is very much great. So I hope it will be very faster.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And adding a few more points to that question, since it is regarding policy measures. So, as per the same, that is the faster adoption of hello?
Yes.
There is some other noise in this. Okay, now it is fine.
Yeah.
So, as per the latest policies like faster adoption and e-mobility scheme, that is FAME 2 scheme and National E-Mobility Program, India is very, our country is very ambitious in converting this mobility to e-mobility. So, as part of that, along with switching to electric vehicles, we need a vast network of electric charging stations. So this is completely in the hand of utilities. So utilities have a very good role in putting the charging stations and optimally placing which are locations which is needed without relying on the range of the vehicle alone. So in Kerala, KCB is the largest utility, ensuring 100% electrification. It is one of the best utilities in India. So and they are already working on it. So ANERT also is supporting KCB because when we switch to electric vehicles, the electric charging stations, so the load on the utility, the electrical load on the utility will increase. So it is a unpredictable and undispatchable load. You know that the electric vehicle charging is an unpredictable load. It is highly dynamic. So the power system has to be planned properly. So and nowadays the renewable energy is also going hand in hand with the e-mobility. So the penetration of renewable energy will be having a key role in this scenario. So the renewable energy is promoted and implemented by the ANERT in Kerala, which is the nodal agency of MNRE. So I think they will go hand in hand, and a few people are installing these charging stations also. So key players are ESL, the Energy Efficiency Services Limited. Then the companies like Siemens, we have Bosch, we have different Schneider, L&D. So these are all key stakeholders who will implement the technology. So this is a policy level approach. So we have already started working and we are already on it. Sharath already mentioned. So we hope that within 1 year this charging stations will come up very fast. So thank you. So Sharath, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
So one more question. So what are are the airbags additional or inclusive in Hyundai Kona?
Sir, actually the Hyundai Kona is coming on in only one premium trim. It comes with 6 airbags as standard. So it has the curtain airbags, it has the seats airbags. So the 6 airbags for the Hyundai Kona is very standard. So so the price of Kona is 26 lakh. It is placed as an premium car from Hyundai. So it has all the premium features like the other cars, like wireless chargers, the seat ventilation. So it is typically like a premium car. So all the features are included. On the safety side also, it has 6 airbags. It has 4 disc brakes. and the worker stability program, and all the current available safety measures are included in this vehicle. So, and it is a global product too. It is selling almost over 40 plus countries. Even all the electric vehicles are very much proven vehicles. So it's not a brand new product. So it's a very well proven product, and it's a very good engineered product. So it's actually ready to buy. So it is not on a budding stage. It is a purely matured product. So have these all features included in it. So it's a standard thing.
Okay, thank you, sir. The last question from Sri Mohanan. Hydrogen fuel vehicles are coming. So is it a threat for electric vehicles? So Sharath, can you add some points on?
So actually, I can both the vehicles are both these technologies are very good because the hydrogen cell, even on a full charge, you can drive the hydrogen to up to 1,000 kilometers. Actually, the height, even for the example of a Hyundai brand, Hyundai is also into the developing of a hydrogen cell vehicles. So, but the issue with the hydrogen is if you have just have the basic chemistry thing, to maintain the hydrogen in an secured form, it is very risk actually. To maintain the hydrogen is very much issue. To maintain this vehicle in an vehicle, so it is also an issue. And to start the hydrogen fuel pumps, so that's also a very big issue. So even the manufacturers are on the developing to the hydrogen vehicles. So even the electric and the hydrogen. So but EV is little bit on a composite form. So I think it is a little bit lower risk than the hydrogen. So actually that the technical developments are happening. So even hydrogen or the electric, both are the cleaner technology. So we are always welcome that new technologies. Even the manufacturers or even like Hyundai are already behind the hydrogen cell vehicles. So which is we cannot say the 100% vehicles will be converted to electric in the future. Maybe these type of new technologies may come, but there will be a position for the electric also.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, Sri Rajesh Saxena has asked, time required to charge 100%. What is the time required? Yeah, it is a very good question.
Sir, for Hyundai Kona, there are 3 charging options available for this vehicle. So, even this car, there are 3 charging options on that. The first is the DC charging. On the DC charging, the Kona will take around 0 to 80% charge in just 57 minutes on the charging station. So just than 1 hour actually to reach the 0 to 80% charge. But like our mobile phone, we don't even take this vehicle to the 0 minimum level. So even from the 20 to 30%, for maximum it will take less than an hour for a full charge on the DC charging station. In the home and apartments, we are installing the AC fast charger. So it will take around 4 to 5 hours to get full charge. So for a complete charge, it will tell around 0 to 100%. It will take 6 hours. But as I said earlier, we won't take this for a 0% charge. So it will take around 4 to 5 hours to get a full charge. And even on the 16 amps power plug, it will take little more time. It will take an overnight charging, 16 to 19. 16 to 19 normal power plug. So that's on higher side, but that can be used on emergency charging or an overnight charging. And the other is 6 hours and less than 1 hour. So these are the charging intervals for a Hyundai Kona. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, sir. Can you hear me now?
Hello.
Can you? Yeah, I think there is some connectivity issue. Yeah. I'm not audible, right?
Yes, sir. I clarified the answer, or
Yes,
yes, I am. You are, sir. You are.
Yeah, most of the questions you have answered, and I think there are no more questions, and I think already time has also 1.5 hours has reached. So we have been answered most of the questions, and thank you, Sharath, for patiently handling these questions at the end of the session, because it is a very interesting topic, and it is more upcoming technology. So most of the people will be very interested to interact also. So thank you for sharing your valuable time during this busy business hours. I know that you are from your routine business hours. You have shared your time for
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
yeah, so sharing your views on electric vehicle and the particular product you are having. We expect more products will come from Hyundai in this electric vehicle
Yes,
range.
definitely.
And
Definitely,
also,
sir. Actually, the even the Hyundai is considering this as a serious thing. So they are having even the global. They have very less models at this point of time, but they are constantly working on it. And, we are expecting very few very models will come soon. Within 3 to 5 years, I expect so.
yes, yes, I expect more sedans and more hatchbacks also will come from. No, so that normal.
Definitely, sir. Even the market is very much secured for this product. Even the manufacturer will come up with the newer lineup. So that's a if it is a demand there, so there will have a supply for that also. So it will
Yes.
come up.
Most of the other companies, like your competitors like Tata, Mahindra, they are already switched to this electric vehicle. So this is one very much required thing with regards to the climate change and environmental impact. We saw that in the session. It was very much the carbon dioxide emission was reduced and the level of impact is very high. So I hope the manufacturers like you will take this technology upfront and you'll go hand in hand with other competitors also. So very much thank you for be patient and sharing your time for making this program a success. So we will be those who have not filled the feedback form, kindly fill the feedback form. The link was shared in the chat box. So we will be continuing this as part of the Go Electric campaign of Bureau of Energy Efficiency. We have a series of 6 programs in the electric vehicle sector. So we have already completed 2 programs. One webinar was on EV charging infrastructure on 30th of July. It was from ESL. Then the second program was today regarding the EV, the e-mobility in light motor vehicles. So the next program we have scheduled on the e-mobility in goods vehicles. Sorry, the public transport. This will be basically buses. So public buses in cities, urban cities. So next program will be on I think next month. So we will be sending the flyers and registration links for this program. So for all the hosts who have registered for this program also as well. So please attend our webinars. So we are doing webinars on different a variety of subjects. So including giving emphasis to energy efficiency and energy conservation, not only to the electrical side. We are doing it on transport, dairy, agriculture, electric vehicles, boilers. So and as per all sectors of economy, including the MSMEs. So thank you all dear participants to patiently hearing this section and making it a success. So I think that's all from my end. So thank you, Sharath. And I thank all my colleagues from Energy Management Center to give this opportunity to present here. So thank you.